what up? This is Jasiri X, man, from the Bay to PA, and you're watching Man Up TV. Tune in and learn you something, you know what I mean? Peace, one hood.
What's up? It's your boy, it's your man, it's your dude, Haroldinho, and welcome to the third episode of Man Up TV. In this week's episode, we'll talk about police brutality, a topic that we're all too familiar with in the black community. Now, whether we're talking about Amadou Diallo, Sean Bell, Oscar Grant, or our brother Alan Bluford, too many of us are losing our lives at the hands of law enforcement, especially when it's an institution that should be protecting us as citizens, well, assuming that we are citizens. So I'm not going to ramble too much on this topic because I want to get the community's, feedback on police brutality, our relationship with law enforcement, things that we can do to move forward as black people to either build that relationship with law enforcement or to protect ourselves from law enforcement. And who better to talk to than the uncle of Oscar Grant, Uncle Bobby. We also have Mistah FAB and a host of other community leaders in Oakland. And what better a place to do that than the 5th annual remembrance of our brother Oscar Grant's transition at the Fruitvale Bar Station. Check this out.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Brother Amir, this is Uncle Bobby, and so we're here at the 5th anniversary of the passing of Oscar Grant, and so I just want to ask Uncle Bobby a couple questions. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Amir, for having me again, once again.
Thank you. I want to ask you, what does this 5th anniversary mean to you?
I mean, it means everything to me because right now, as we know, we have young men still dying all across this country, and most recently, just right in Santa Rosa, a 13-year-old killed by the police. And so this anniversary means to remember what happened to Oscar, but also to look out and look at all those that also died by gun violence, or I should say more specifically, police violence.
Well, it's wonderful to know that our people have not forgotten. One of the problems of our community is our collective historical amnesia, that we begin to think that all things have changed because we see black images when we have not yet received justice for our people. The killer of Oscar Grant spent 11 months in jail. That was not justice. That was a compromise of justice. As we study U.S. history, we find that when black people suffer, justice is generally compromised. And so we're very honored to be here with Oscar's family to not only remember him, but his family is also standing with the many families who have lost their loved ones to unjust police violence or unjust violence.
This is a powerful legacy about the people coming together and demanding justice. When we were organizing for justice for Oscar Grant, I said at the BART board, I wanted this to be the beginning of the end of police brutality in America. It has to start somewhere. There's a moment in time when people say, this is unacceptable. We have to do something about this. And that moment built with Trayvon Martin, it built with the Fruitvale Station movie, and it continues to build because we show up here every year saying this is still important to us. And as that builds throughout the country, we'll start to see real change.
The significance of it is, man, I was here the first day, the first day it actually happened. To be here, to witness it, to see the feeling and the vibe at that time, very still relevant right now, especially with the success of the movie, raising awareness to those who may not have been aware of what was going on. But just to be here, able to be a part of this is definitely an honor for me, man, and I'm happy that I could make it even for the last 20-30 minutes, man, and it's beautiful, man. But what I'm most humbled by is the strength of his daughter. She's becoming a young activist in her own right. She may not even see that, but her experiences, man, I'm very humbled by that. And to watch her do the closing speech tonight, that was epic.
Right. That's a sign of the times. It's time for us to wake up, be aware that nobody can solve these issues for us but us. I'm so proud of seeing just like Uncle Bobby. Right. I mean, I didn't know the brother before, but just following their family and the situation, I've seen him escalate into such a conscious warrior that it's very impressive. So I think we need more conscious warriors, and we have to take these catalysts as signs that that's what we must do.
I'm honored to be here, man. It's really, you know, emotionally, man, it's kind of overwhelming to just see this outpouring of love. You know, to show like our lives have meaning, our lives are valuable, and so it's been a beautiful, beautiful celebration of Oscar's life.
As far as the 5th anniversary, do you feel like things are improving between the young people and law enforcement? Or how do you feel? Do you feel they're being desensitized any? Or?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's getting worse. I mean, you know, what we're seeing is the police becoming more militarized in our communities. You know what I'm saying? Heavier guns, heavier vests, you know, tanks and this type of thing, and really, you know, approaching our young, not coming into our community to protect and serve, but really to you know, beat down and destroy and kind of suppress and oppress, you know, instead of protecting. And so I think it's unfortunate. I mean, you know, the Malcolm X grassroots movement came out with a report in 2012. A black person was killed every 28 hours by the police. So I really feel like you know, law enforcement should be here, and they should acknowledge the wrong that they did and attempt to atone it and get better. But unfortunately, law enforcement continues to act like they didn't do nothing wrong and stonewall and protect their officers.
Well, you know, the interesting thing around the situation with the police is there's a new report that just came out of Stanford University about their response to Occupy. And one of the things that report details is that the instruction, the detailed instruction from the community and from experts around community policing has given them very clear direction on what it is they are to do. They just disregard it. So it really isn't about, do we know how to be community police? We know how. The question is, do we have the will? And the will has to come from the people. It's just like Barack Obama said, if you want me to do something, you have to hold me accountable. We can't be mad at him for being a moderate. He's always been a moderate. We have to demand that he be progressive. We have to demand that the police be accountable. And that's what this movement is about, is building the will of the people so that they understand we can make a difference. This is the first time in history that we ever got a murder conviction for an on-duty police officer. That's never happened before. And we're disappointed because it's not, he didn't get the time that he was supposed to do, but it's the beginning of something. And that's what we have to see as our power to be able to make a difference.
Right. Do you feel like at some point in the future that relationship between us and the law enforcement would come together? Because I always hear from law enforcement that they want to hear more people come to them. It's like, you know, they feel like they can't really reach out to the community because of all this distrust. Do you feel like it's ever going to be a point where people will be united and people feel comfortable going to law enforcement about issues?
I think there's some great individuals on the police force, and I know some of them. But I've always said the issue here is about accountability. And so the real issue is, are those great individuals willing to hold the bad apples accountable? This happens in any group, whether it's the teachers union, the prison guard union, there's always rogue individuals. And if the collective is not willing to hold them accountable, then that destroys the entire system. So the police accountability, the police ethics has been destroyed because when there are bad apples, the good apples are not willing to hold them accountable. They know what's going on and they're not doing what needs to be done behind closed doors, and everything happens behind closed doors. There are officers that have been disciplined and fired and all kinds of things, but they hide that. The union doesn't allow them to publicize what's happening, and so we as a community are like, they never do anything. Sometimes they do, but they have to open that up, they have to make it transparent, and our job is to demand that they do so because they work for us. These are our tax dollars. And so yes, I think there will be better relationship, but I think it will come because the people will say enough is enough. This is genocide.
I feel it's regressing because we're seeing innocent children being murdered by police officers and good police officers not stepping up to the plate to report their wrong, and thereby that officer killing a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old, get justifiable homicide when a child you couldn't apprehend without killing them. I mean, that to me is a digressing, not seem to be getting better.
I have police friends that are friends of mine. And the reason that they're friends of mine, because we share the same story. We share the same struggle. And what I mean by that is, in order for these relationships to mend, we must see more of us involved in being police. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with being police. And please don't get me wrong in what I'm saying. But we complain about all the things that we complain about. You complain about the liquor store. Well, what you drinking liquor for? You complain about the law systems and judicial systems being totally crude and unfair. Well, why aren't many of us going to be lawyers? You know, we complain about the justice system. We complain about police brutality. Well, why don't we start sending some of our sons and our brothers to become police chiefs so they can understand our story and open it up a little bit more? But to answer your question, I don't see the relationship mending if we constantly have a police force where 75% of the people that are employed are from out of state, are from other cities. They don't understand the culture. They don't understand the mentality that this city cultivates.
And they don't want to either.
And they don't want to.
Gotcha.
So, therefore, that's why they have a shoot first mentality rather than a let me holler at y'all young brothers.
I think it's the same it's been for the past 200 years. You know, from the end of slavery on, they took on a role that I think only we've been a little confused about. You know, they've never been there to protect and to serve us. It's been more centered around private property, of which we have very little. In fact, we were private property, so they were protecting the interest in us remaining slaves, and I think they continue to protect that interest, as well as the implement the plan that, you know, we're no longer really needed in America as a source of labor, as a source of anything. So they continue to put us in this category of elimination. And obviously it's strange because some of them are us, but that job, that badge, that arming them to the teeth just signifies to them that they have a job to do. So I think if any change comes about, it's from the community trying to whittle away at their consciousness, which is a hard job.
Yeah. Do you feel like that relationship can ever be repaired, or you think it's irreparable at this point?
Oh, it's irreparable. It's not a question of repairing it to be what. I mean, it's repairing it to find out how do you defend our community against them, how do you remove them, and Oscar's mother made some good comments today about, you know, once they live in the community, there's a different reality when they commute in. We saw that in South Africa during apartheid. You lived in the community. If you're treacherous to the community developed a necktie system, you know, a burning tire around your neck. And even if it's just, you know, conceptually, when they treat our community as treacherous as they are, they need to hear from us.
For my last question, I want to ask, how do we get the young people involved? I mean, we have Mistah FAB come out. We have a lot of, you know, young. I saw a lot of youth performances, but how do we get more youth to be involved? How do we get them from the block into these movements that can, you know, that they can put their energy in and be a part of? How do we do that?
That's a good question, brother. I'm looking to the youth. I'm looking to you and you know, others that have the creativity and the discipline. For my part, I've attempted to remain consistent in being an activist and in raising consciousness of myself, of people around me.
Well, we reach out to our entertainers. Our entertainers that are spitting language and spitting words that can actually raise their consciousness. They're coming to participate. As a matter of fact, let's reach out to our entertainers and say, you come participate. Because if you come and spit language that they can hear about making change, they will come and hear that, and they will respond to that. So the greatest asset, the greatest tool that we have is our entertainers that express words in hip hop. Our children listen to that. They follow these entertainers, and they have to be here representing, as we saw with Mistah FAB coming, as we saw with Skylar Jett, even though he's from my school, but he's bringing the message that entertainers need to come and change the language of our hip hop so that the consciousness of our children are being raised to a point to where they become revolutionaries.
We start from the cradle, teaching them the truth. And when they know and understand that truth, they'll stand in it. Study the state of Israel and how little Jewish children are taught from the cradle how their people have suffered. It has not prevented them from exhibiting their greatness in science or engineering or business or whatever fields that they choose, but they take advantage of the knowledge of that history to prevent the negatives from occurring again, and as the song says, accentuate the positive and eliminate the negatives and get rid of Mr. In-Between.
Well, you know, I think one of the things is we have to stop assuming that they're going to come to where we are, right? When they first started doing street outreach, some brothers who were drug dealers in Boston sat down with the clergy, and they said to them, we're going to win this battle. And the clergy, who's not used to having people talk to them that way, said, what do you mean? They said, we're going to win because we're going to be on this corner every single day. And you're going to be inside your church with the gates locked. So we have to start taking this work, this energy, this movement into the schools, into the after-school programs, into the streets, and stop expecting that young people are going to come show up at rallies, because for them, rallies are something that, you know, we did as a strategy 50, 60, 100 years ago. We have to have strategies that they lead, that they inform, and you saw so many young people out here today saying the arts is a way that they inform. They're telling us what they feel in the graffiti, but we're calling it mess and junk and arresting them for that. They're telling us what they feel at the side shows. They're feeling irreverent. They're feeling ignored. They turn their music up loud so we can pay attention. They're telling us how much jail culture affects them by sagging their pants so low that it looks like they are prisoners without a belt. Right? They're telling us what's happening for them. The question is, are we listening? We're always saying they're right to be skeptical. They've seen what happened to the civil rights generation, to the hip-hop generation. They're right to be skeptical. They're not apathetic. They're skeptical. They're skeptical that we're going to get off our resources, our middle-class experience, and do something that'll really make a difference, which is going to take some sacrifice on our part. They're skeptical of us, and they should be.
Everything is about relatability, and that's not a word, but the sense of it is saying, I need something to relate to. I need something that I can feel is a connection to me. A lot of kids don't go to church because they don't understand the biblical terms. A lot of kids don't go to the mosque because they don't understand Islamic culture, and they don't understand the teachings of the brothers and the ministry and the brothers. Because of the dialect, because of the content and the context. What we need to do is start breaking it down to give them some type of comfortability to where they feel like, I can relate to that. I can feel you on that. You know what I'm saying? And with the things that we do in the community, is I let them see, look, dude, you don't need to have no major corporations, no machines. It's about formulating the thought. And once the thought comes into fruition, everything else is offspring of that. The spawning of community activism starts with the thought. It's the care and it's the concern. Right. If I call you and you call him and he calls him, then therefore we have 5 people who have different resources, who are utilizing our resources to cultivate something. Right. Like I alluded to earlier, it's the building, whether it be the building of minds, the building of resources, the building of the power and the infrastructure that we can create amongst our own cabinet and our own covenant. Right. And when you show these young brothers, look, dude, this is something you can do as well. Right. And then they start saying, okay, I like that concept. I can relate to that concept. Right. That's not something that's far-fetched from my doing. Right. The doability is very, you know, the reality of that. It's not a thin line, it's not a hard line to cross. Right. And once they see that, then they want to be involved. Then they want to say, man, well, what can I do to contribute towards that?
Right. We got to go to them. One, we can't like have this attitude. Like what I see a lot of people have this attitude, like what's wrong with the young people today? It's very condescending. Pull your pants up. What's wrong with you? It's like, nah, man, like who's gonna listen to that? But we started doing in Pittsburgh. We started an academy, a media academy for young black men. They did a report in Pittsburgh that when the media in Pittsburgh reported on black men, 86% of the time was crime. If you add sports, 96% of the time crime and sports. So we began to get a group of young men in our community and educate them, like talk to them, you know, show them, you know, give them information that makes them more conscious. It's not like what they gonna do, like what you expect to like them to just discover Malcolm X and our history, like, and we get mad at them like, oh, you don't know who Emmett Till is? Well, damn it, if you the elder, you're supposed to be teaching us. It's the elder's responsibility if the youth don't know. Not the youth's responsibility. What type of stuff is that? So we educate them. So our Media Academy, man, we get each of our students an iPad mini. We're teaching them how to be media literate, how to create their own media and tell their story, man. So to empower them, I think that's the thing, man. We have the attitude that we want to educate and empower them to tell their story, that the young people will come. I mean, we've had a tremendous amount of support, you know, from the youth in our community. But if we're just trying to use them to get some grant money, right, or use them like y'all gonna do what we say, right, then it's not gonna work, man. So let's go to them with love. And the last thing, you can't be afraid of the young people, man. We can't like see them on the block and be afraid to go up to them and say, hey, man, we love you, we care about you, we care whether you live or die. You know, I'm your brother. It starts there, man. So like y'all said, we gotta man up, man. Stop being scared.
Yo, this is the brother Jasiri X, brother Amir. This is Man Up TV. We out of here.
What's up, y'all? Big Brandon here First, as always, we want to thank our interview guests for giving their time and attention and their quality responses to this issue. And we also here at Man Up TV want to say rest in peace to Oscar Grant and to all the young black male victims of police brutality. You know, this tragedy really highlights the need for us to repair in some way the relationship between the black community and the police, at least to the extent where we don't have to fear for our lives. So we feel that responsibility lies with three groups: the police themselves, the elder blacks in our community, and finally us, young black men. So we believe the first responsibility in fixing this issue and moving forward lies with the police. We as young black men, we want to be treated as people by the police, not as animals to be caged or shot. You know, we know that there's some police out there that would give more consideration to Michael Vick's dogs than they would give to a young black man they pulled over on the street. You know, you need to look at us in that driver's seat and really see a person sitting there. So a father, a son, a husband, a brother, somebody that has people to go home to, people that depend on them. You know, we need to be protected, afforded the same protections as every other tax-paying citizen that exists out there. So number one, the police have to smooth things out because they're the ones with the guns in the end. They're the ones that can change our lives. I can't change a police officer's life very easily, but he can most certainly change mine. So we believe that the second burden of responsibility for fixing this issue lies with the elder community. You know, we've been victimized by police brutality over the years, and it happens every day. We need advocates to stand up on our behalf, use their voice, and tell the system, tell the establishment, tell the police, this is wrong, and we want this to stop. So simply, we need you guys to man up for us and show us you care. No, we believe the final burden of responsibility does lie with us, young black men. We are the victims of police brutality by and large, so we have to find a way to shrink that target on our backs. First thing, be mindful of how and where you're spending your time. I'm sure if we all just stopped for a few minutes and thought about it, we could come up with a list of places where we're more or less likely to have an encounter with the police. Secondly, when you go out, try to go out in a group. You know, there's strength in numbers. And if you have to fly solo, just let somebody know what you're up to so that way you can check in on you if anything's amiss. Finally, just be respectful. You know, should you have an encounter with the police, don't give them any reason to escalate the situation. Now, we realize this will not fix the scourge of police brutality against our community, but these are some ways that we can reduce our exposure. You know, we want you guys to toss these topics around, you know, chop it up with people and see what you guys think about this. Also, you know, hit us up on Twitter or Gmail should you want to get us with an idea. As always, it's Big Brandon for Man Up TV.